Welcome back to another episode of the Draw Control Podcast. On today's episode of the podcast, I welcome back a incoming junior on the John Hopkins women's lacrosse team, Ava Angello. This past season, Ava had another incredible season as she led the team with 53 goals and 68 points. She also handed out 15 assists as well, and Ava ranked fifth in the Big Ten in goals and seventh in points. This allowed Ava to be named a honorable mention USA Lacrosse All-American, a two-time honorable mention Inside Lacrosse All-American for the second year in a row. Ava was also named to the Second Team IWLCA All-Mid-Atlantic Second Team, All Big Ten as well, and All Big Ten Tournament. So I'm super excited to have her on today. So Ava, thank you so much for coming on. And how is everything going?
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's good. Enjoying summer so far. So happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have you on. And yeah, talk a little bit more about how your summer's been going so far.
It's been good. It's been a lot of fun. I'm currently on vacation right now with my family in Kansas City, visiting our cousins and uncles. So it's been nice to have like a little break right now. I've just kind of been training and coaching. Nothing super crazy. I have an internship with a wealth management firm in Syracuse. It's Excelsior Wealth Partners, just like kind of just in Syracuse. So I work like 3 days a week, 9 to 4 there, but just haven't just been busy kind of doing all of that. But it's wouldn't want it any other way. It's been fun.
Yeah. What's Kansas City like? I've never been there before.
It's actually really nice. They're kind of like right on the border of they're in the Kansas side of Kansas City, but they're like right on the border with I think it's in Surrey. Um, but yeah, it's actually nice. We went downtown last night, and it was the first time I've ever been down there, and it's a nice city.
Nice, nice. And the ballpark there looks cool, the with the water fountain and all that. That's the only thing I really know about Kansas City outside of like Patrick Mahomes and all that stuff. So that's the
Yeah,
only
and the
thing you really
Chiefs.
see about Kansas City in the media nowadays.
I know. Even with like Taylor Swift
Yeah.
and all of that drama, pop culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you've been coaching and working a little bit as well. So what have you been working on regarding your game to get ready for your junior year?
Yeah. I've been working and focusing on my strength and speed work, as well as my conditioning, right? You can never be too in shape. Kind of just trying to get as many live game reps as possible. So that's like playing in summer league, playing in summer tournaments. Our staff has put together an amazing summer program packet kind of regarding these levels of our game. I also have draw work to do. And we also, which is super unique to Hopkins, is like we have information on how to work on our mental health and stuff like that with our mental health coach Brock that Hopkins brought in. So we kind of have a bunch of different components that they have us working on. So kind of just doing all of those.
How do you work on the draw when it's individual? Do you have someone with you to help you out with that, or is it just sort of simulation, I guess, with something?
Yeah, so you can do kind of a bunch of stuff. You get creative. You can do a bunch of whole like wrist strengthening stuff. Work on your reaction time. You can play like a whistle, like random whistles, on YouTube. It's crazy the stuff YouTube has. And you can work on like your reaction time. You can put up your ball against the post of a goal. So it kind of acts as another person, but like they're not really doing anything. It's just like to hold the ball against the post. And then you can work on kind of like pulling it behind you, pulling it over your shoulder, like taking it lefty and self drawing it to yourself, kind of just to get those motions. So you're not super rusty going into season.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to say, but you're going to be an upperclassman next season. So have you thought about what type of leadership you want to bring to the team? Would you consider yourself more of a vocal leader or lead by example type of player?
Yeah, it's crazy that I'm going to be an upperclassman. It feels like just yesterday I was kind of just stepping on campus, but I think I would consider myself kind of a mix of both types of leaders. Um, you can be a vocal leader, but if you don't have the actions to follow your words, like actions speak louder than words, then like you might lose kind of the respect to your teammates is kind of how I see it. So like I would kind of want to be a mix of both in this upperclassman role where I can be that vocal side of things, but also lead by example for my teammates, kind of just like in practice with the girls coming in, um, kind of be that role model for them.
Have you met any of the incoming freshmen yet, or does that happen in the fall?
Yes, we met all of them. They came on a visit the beginning of January or mid-January, kind of. So they all came down. Everyone on the team got to meet them, and I think I met some of them during their recruiting process too. So which was really cool. They were juniors and I was a freshman. Um, so now it's kind of come full circle, and now we get to play together. So it's really cool.
That's gotta be weird, to see the recruiting process happen when you're in the facility. I feel like you sort of remember. Does it bring back memories of when you do it every time you see someone do that?
Our recruiting process was a little different. We were during COVID, so like we
Oh, that's
couldn't go
right.
on
Yeah,
official visits.
yeah,
We didn't have all of that. So we got to do it over Zoom. We had a nice little campus tour over Zoom while I was sitting at my kitchen table with my parents. But it's cool that I still kind of get to live it and still kind of get a piece of that because you get to show these girls around and hear and get to tell them all of the stuff that you heard.
yeah. I feel like you gotta
Yeah.
tag along in one of those official visits so you can get the full recruiting process experience since you never got that in high school.
Yeah, yeah. We've our coaches kind of like break things up. So like you get pieces of each one. So like one day I'll take this one girl to class with me and then I'll show this one girl like my room.
Mhm.
So or then I'll show like a campus tour with one. So you get pieces of each of them. So yeah, like I said, you still kind of get that and get to live your recruiting process every come fall.
Yeah, and do you ever talk to the seniors? Do they ever see saw someone go through the recruiting process like on another team? Like that's got to be sort of kind of full circle as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's like a really cool environment, I guess. Like the world is small in general, let alone the lacrosse world. So everything just it comes full circle.
So let's transition now and talk about the individual performance you had this season. So you are an outstanding player and you had a great season. My question to you is, do you think you played better this season than your freshman year? And what would you say was sort of the biggest improvement you made to your game as a sophomore?
Yeah, I do believe I played better this year than last year. That was one of my goals coming in. An individual goal for myself was just do better than last. Like you want to have that consistent improvement, right? Once you start kind of flatlining and not improving, like that's when you're done. So I kind of want to keep having that trajectory upwards, but I think having a year under my belt and knowing exactly what I can expect has helped my confidence. And I believe this confidence has been my biggest improvement because it allows you to play more free and like you're less tense. And when you play more free, you have more fun. And I'm a firm believer in when you play your best when you're having fun. So I would say it's the confidence piece is kind of like that improvement that allowed me to have a better year this year.
How do you work on your confidence? Because I feel like it's such a hard thing to work on because obviously a lacrosse season, there's a lot of highs and lows and there's a lot of emotions to manage. So how do you sort of handle those highs and lows and how do you sort of try to maintain that confidence even when things might not be going your way or when things are going your way?
Yeah. I kind of just I this might sound strange, but like I kind of just live in the moment, right? You're gonna just feel the way you feel and like notice and take note of the way you feel at those lows of like, okay, like you don't kind of want to have that feeling of oh, that was a really bad loss, like or like I didn't play up to my potential that game. So like kind of feel that and note it and go back to how those highs do feel because you do the same thing when you win. Like you love that feeling, that excitement, that adrenaline rush you get when you play and when you're doing well and all that. So like notice how you feel, kind of go back to those positives. We really focus on that at Hopkins is like we focus on what we're doing well so we can continue doing that. And see that like it's only a small part of like your bigger picture. And so if you can really just hone in on those positives and like everything you did do well rather than harping on the negatives, it's crazy that like it can do for your confidence, and just stepping foot on the field with girls who all like have that same mentality just even helps you even more.
Now, obviously, as an attacker, and I feel like a lot of sophomores sort of see this, is you start getting defended a little bit differently each game. So I don't want you to reveal all your secrets, but what does your team sort of do to make sure the attackers get ready for certain adjustments that the defense makes? And how do you work on getting separation, dodging, and building connection with your other attackers every game you have, so you sort of know what to expect when the defense makes those sort of adjustments and defends you a little bit differently?
Yeah. We get thrown a whole bunch of different looks in practice, and huge shout out to like we call it our Wolfie pack and our scout defense, to prepare our attackers and defenders for kind of what they're going to see in our upcoming opponent and kind of like their styles. So they prepare us really well, to have those adjustments kind of going from game to game. And like as for the connections part with attackers, we have a really like tight knit group off the field, and so that kind of follows us onto the field. So like those connections start off the field, like kind of when you first walk onto campus. And our team's super special. We have a great culture. So we're all super close. It's a family. It's not just like your teammates. We're fully a family. And so Tim also runs a practice where we make hundreds of like live game type decisions. So putting us in this type of environment in this practice allows us to build those connections with all of our players, because you learn their playing style, their tendencies, what they like to do on the field just in practice. So then when you get in a game like situation, you know what to expect.
Now, last time I talked to you, your team had 9 wins in your freshman year, and now this past season you guys got 12 wins. So, what would you say is sort of the biggest reason why your team made that jump in wins this past season?
We kind of brought back a lot of our players from last year, which kind of allows us more time to play together. And it being Tim's second year, I think set us up for success. Also, like it was his first year, kind of like your adjustment phase, which I think he did unbelievable for it being his first year going into a brand new program, introducing a whole new style of play to a brand new group of girls. So it being a second year, we knew exactly what to expect. He knew all of us. He knew the girls coming in. And Tim also brought in, not only Tim, but like our whole coaching staff brought in some like strong transfers through the transfer portal, because that's been a huge thing recently. So we're super lucky. We were super lucky to add those. We had 3 transfers, and then we had 3 returners, 5th years. So we had a really good group. Super lucky to have all of them.
So let's talk about the season, because it was a special season, I thought, for your team. There are 3 games in particular, though, I want to focus on. The first one being a win over USC in the regular season. Obviously, USC is going to be joining your conference next year. So what's it like? What was it like playing them for the first time and obviously getting that win?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Playing a new opponent you've never played before is always exciting. It's a new look, new players, new people to talk to. I like to talk to my defenders every once in a while, just say hey. I guess you meet new people. I'm a very talkative person. But that was definitely a great win for us early in the season. And I think it started to build our momentum for our whole team. I'm really looking forward to playing them now. I think like every year, hopefully, with them joining the Big Ten.
Yeah, and you get a trip to LA at least once before your career ends. That's going to be nice as well.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Now, the biggest win you guys got last season, in my opinion, was when you guys beat Stony Brook. You lost to them in your freshman season. So, what did you learn from that game as you were playing them this year? And talk about how you guys defensively held on to win that game, because Stony Brook obviously made a huge surge in the second half, but you guys held on to win that one 14-12.
Yeah. Yeah, that game was a lot of fun. Definitely one that sticks out for me for this year. Stony Brook, so they play a really high pressure zone that's super physical. So playing them for the first time as a freshman was definitely an adjustment, kind of throws you off your guard, off your game a little bit, which I think that's what the high pressure zone's supposed to do. So kudos to them. But playing them this year, you kind of know what to expect again. And so we had a good game plan going into it and watching film from the year previous and then making those adjustments. I think our team executed it to a T. Our defense is incredible unit. Also now like Jordan Carr put up numbers, Madison Doucette, we had our pair, like I'm just going to start naming everyone on our defense, but they're just all unbelievable. And they really had the offenses back in that when we were struggling to put up some points in the second half. So like holding Ellie Macera, who is an unbelievable, amazing lacrosse player, to 2 goals kind of really helped us succeed in that game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Her and Alex Finn were probably the best duo in the country last year, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Oh, they were incredible. They were incredible.
Now, this season, your team made it all the way to the Big Ten semifinals as you played Northwestern. It was a great game where you scored 4 goals, but unfortunately, your team lost by 1 goal. Even though your team lost, what did you learn from that game, and what was your team's mindset heading into the NCAA tournament this year? Because I feel like there's probably some stuff you learned from that game against Northwestern where maybe you have a chance to. I think you guys could have a chance to beat them in your junior year, since there's going to be some transition regarding that team for this upcoming season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We definitely learned. We would have liked to win that game. Hitting the post with 1 second left kind of stings, but we learned kind of that we can play with anyone we wanted to. They were the #1 team in the country at the time, so like almost beating them gave us like a positive mindset kind of going into the NCAAs. I think we were like peaking at the right time. We're playing some of our best lacrosse at the right time going into NCAAs. So like that was kind of the mindset you want to have, I think, going in with you can beat anyone you play, right? So we kind of had that going in, and I think that's what we kind of got out of that game.
Now, last year you guys played the tournament in Syracuse. This year it was in Yale. Just from like an off the field perspective, how did this year's tournament compare to last year's in Syracuse? Because I know there was a lot of conversation with some of the conditions in some of these tournament games, and hopefully they get improved for next season. But I was just curious what your experience was like at Yale.
Yeah, no, Yale was great. They had great facilities. They had just had like put in a brand new facility with turf and their whole lacrosse facility. So, both atmospheres were amazing. Both brought in humongous fan bases. You kind of both have big lacrosse schools there. So they were both great. Watching lacrosse as a kid and like growing up, you always wish to play in those games. And for the past 2 years, I've kind of gotten to live a childhood dream. So that's something I'll cherish for sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely know what you're talking about with like the tent situation
Mhm.
at Syracuse the year before. Yeah. That was I was crazy to see, I think, because when we were there the year before, we were in like their football locker rooms. Not the football locker rooms, but like their football facility, indoor facility is next to their soccer field, or one of them, because I think they have multiple. But we were in like a room, we had chairs, and like we shared the bathroom with the other opponent. But yeah, we weren't in a tent, so I do feel bad that that
Yeah.
was the case. We play a Division 1 sport. We're in Division 1, highest you can go. Like only X amount of teams, 32, I think, got to get to that point out of how hundreds of teams. So I think there's room for improvement there for sure. Especially
Yeah.
with Syracuse, you guys have the facilities for it. You guys
Mhm.
have the money.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think there's just a certain standard that I think needs to be set. And I thought the Stony Brook coach did a good job sort of defending his players and sort of speaking out about that. So hopefully those improvements are made for
Mhm.
next year's tournament.
Yeah, I really do hope so.
Now, in the tournament, your team beat Fairfield in the first game where Ashley Macklin had one of the best games of the season, in my opinion. So just talk about that victory and what's it like playing with Ashley because she's such a great midfielder and what makes her such a unique midfielder from your perspective as an attacker.
Yeah. Ashley got in a Sports Center top 10 for that game actually, which she's putting us on the map. So that victory was awesome. I guess like winning an NCAA game, I think is always exciting. No matter what round. We got to spend more time with the team and play with each other for another time. So that's the quality time, which is something that's so special and that those are the memories like you remember being on a team. So that was awesome. Ashley Mackin is like an amazing person and player. And I'm so lucky that like I can play with her for another year and I got to play with her for 2 before. Her IQ, her ability to finish and handle the ball and tight, I think all make her an incredible player. She also has the range though to go with that. So like she can stand on an 8 meter and just sidearm it or crank it, or if she's got time and room, she's gonna let that fly. So and not everyone can do that. Not everyone has that type of skill set. So she's so diverse in what she can do. Like so you can't, it's hard to guard her. Like if you're gonna sag off, she'll shoot it. And if you guard her tight, she's quick enough to handle that and in tight and finish it. So I could go on and on about her. She's so talented. She's amazing. She's probably some of the best to do it right now in the game.
Now, your season came to a close with a loss against Yale. How have you reflected on that loss almost a month later?
Yeah, going back and watching that game, definitely was not the greatest because like losing, being an athlete, like no one really likes to lose. You kind of learn from it, but no one likes to lose. Because I mean, that game we had moments where you wish you could get back. And I mean, I personally I'm trying not to like live in that past. Same thing with Syracuse, like the Syracuse situation is like you're gonna learn from the game and take notes on the things we did well, but also stuff we can work on. So like that stuff like we'll go into the off season working on. So when we come back in August, like we can be even better.
Yeah, I think sort of the way you gotta reflect on it is it's like it's not like one or two plays that define a game. There's so much stuff that happened that's out of everyone's control. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like just appreciating the moment and sort of reflecting on it. It's like, man, I got to be on the tournament. That was pretty cool. And sort of trying to take it into a positive experience. So I feel like you don't want to like ruin your whole summer because of one game.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, there's 32 teams out of 100 and I don't know, what is it, like 150 maybe? 160, something like that, like Division One teams that only 32 of those teams get to play this far into the season. And like that is something so special. We won our first round and it's down to 16. So there's only 16 teams playing. That's something so special. And like I said, it's those moments that you remember, like you remember the halftime where you're hyping each other up, or like the hugs after the game with the girls who aren't coming back, or that was the last game they're playing. So you don't really want to harp on the little, oh, I should have caught this pass or I should have done this differently. Like you'll remember the moments with your teammates the most.
Now, one of those players I do want to ask you about is Bailey Cheatham. She was a fifth year that came back for you guys. What has she meant for your team, not only as a player on the field, but as a leader off the field?
Yeah. Bailey's amazing lacrosse player, but like she's an even better person, which is something not many people who watch Hopkins lacrosse in general know, like off the field. She's kind of the backbone of our team on and off the field. She's an unbelievable role model and like couldn't have asked for a better captain and whole unit with Jordan Carr and Abby Holbrink. Bailey works hard and she's just like that leads by example type, but also is that vocal aspect off the field of like, if you need something, you can go talk to Bailey and she will help you through it, like no matter what. She's kind of like that motherly figure. You go to her, and on the field, we would say like she's the quarterback, right? And it's funny because her number's number 12, and so we call her Tom Brady, and she just so happens to like lead our team in assists. So like it's just funny. We have that little thing with her. But yeah, she's amazing. She's awesome. Like it's hard to put it into words because she's so great. But yeah.
Yeah, instead of TB12, maybe BC12.
But yeah, BC12.
That's awesome. Now, what are your team's
Yeah.
goals and expectations for next season? Obviously, you guys are losing some key players, but like you said, you're bringing in some good freshmen as well. So I'm curious if you've sort of thought about what you want to accomplish next year as a team.
Yeah. Um, I feel like with every team, there's always those like goals and expectations to win more games and go further in conference tournaments and NCAA tournament. Um, and like obviously, yeah, we want to win more, but like something that we focus on at Hopkins is our like everyday effort and energy and coming to practice and getting better and having fun. So those kind of two components, like there's something like those are our values. And if we can come to practice every day with more energy and more effort to push each person around you and each teammate, like the wins and tournament plays and accomplishments will come. So kind of just harping on those little things is like what we like kind of like to say with those couple two mottos. So I think that's going to help us lead to our success. So we kind of go down a little deeper rather than, oh, we just want to win more, but like, how are we going to do that? So by like pushing each other in practice, by bringing that effort and energy and having fun, but like we're going to get better every day is how you reach that success.
So let's move on to a segment I like to call the non-lacrosse segment, where I ask you some non-lacrosse questions to get to know you a little bit more off the field. This one's a little bit different than last time, Ava, where I just found some like random questions on the internet that I thought were
Yeah.
interesting. So hopefully there'll be some unique answers and I'll give you some of mine as well. So to make it a fun
Perfect.
conversation. So first one is, what was the best concert you've ever been to?
Best concert. Okay. Morgan Wallen at Fenway Park. I got to go last summer. It's just unreal atmosphere, seeing like a great artist, love his music, big country music fan. You can't really beat it. And I also got to go with one of my teammates, Maeve Barker, who came back for a fifth year this past year. So you had some great company with, and I also went with my parents. So you can't really get much better than that with your favorite country artist at Fenway Park in Boston with a great
Yeah,
teammate. So
yeah.
I would say that for sure.
Yeah, it's gotta be cool to see him such an iconic venue with the green monster in the background.
Yep. Yeah.
I'd say for me, I saw Paul McCartney at Fenway like a long time ago. That was a lot of fun, especially as a big Beatles fan. So I'll go with that one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Hey, Fenway. Look at Fenway.
I
Shout out
know,
Fenway.
I know. I'll be back there soon for a baseball game, so looking forward to it.
That'll be fun. That'll be a
Now,
lot of fun.
now, what is one regret you have in life?
Oh, we're getting deep. We're getting
I
deep with
know.
these. Um, ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, I feel like, I mean, this kind of might sound old school, but like, I really don't have a regret in life. I mean, I take every situation and I feel like I turn it into like a learning experience and that helps me grow as a person. So I feel like I don't really have any regrets,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna be honest.
I'm with you on that too. I think obviously
Yeah.
some moments you look back on, you're glad it happened because it ended up working out at the
Mhm.
end. I guess the only thing I might regret is I feel like I wish worked a little bit harder in high school so I could have given myself more opportunities after I
Mm.
graduated from that standpoint. So that's some of the that's something I look back on. It's like I wish I wasn't so like just get the bare minimum done and move on. I should have tried a little bit harder with my schoolwork, but maybe I'm just being too hard on myself on that one.
You're doing great. Look, you have your own podcast.
Thank you. I know, I know. So next non-lacrosse question is what is one interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Read or seen this week. Okay. I'm it's so summer. I love to read. Just sitting outside. So I'm currently reading a book, First Line Wins. But I would say like the most interesting thing I've read this week is I see like a bunch of interesting things in my internship. So we do market and stock research. So just looking into those and researching trends on the stock market and like what's doing well, which ones have potential and like to do really well in the future is something that I find really interesting. something that I think I want to do after I graduate. So we look into that a lot. So I would say that's probably the most interesting thing I've seen this week.
Now, obviously, I think John Hopkins has the nicest jerseys in all of college lacrosse, but besides your team, who has the nicest jerseys in college lacrosse?
Yeah, I might be a little bit biased, but I would say the same thing too. I think we have the coolest colors too.
Yeah, it's the black. The
But
black one's my favorite.
the black, yeah, I do like the black. I like the black and I do like the blue.
Oh,
I
the
like the
baby
blue when
blue is
I'm
cool.
tan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But coolest jerseys beside us, I really like Florida's. I was watching the final four. Their jerseys were so nice and so cool. They're clean. I really liked Florida's, so I'll give it to Florida.
That's a good answer. I would say for me, probably Maryland when they do it has the state flag on the side. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Northwestern's alternates look cool, but I feel like Carolina's Tar Heel ones are like up there with you guys. Like I feel like there's nothing more iconic
Yeah.
than that.
It's the blue. It's the blue color. It
Yeah.
makes it
Maybe blue's my
great.
favorite color, so maybe that's why I like it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Ooh, one person in the world. I feel like, wow, that's a really good question. I think so. I know on our last podcast you asked if who could play me in a movie, and I said Blake Lively.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say I would have lunch with Blake Lively just because I feel like her life is so interesting, like her relationship with Ryan Reynolds and like her kids. I would love to hear about, and her job is just so cool. She's an actor, so I would love. I don't know. I think I'd love to sit down and could talk up a storm with her.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a lot of fun. I know you mentioned
Yeah,
him in the podcast already, but Tom Brady would be it for me just because of the underdog story and sort of all the things he's
yeah.
accomplished. I would love to sort of hear everything he's gone through regarding that. I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. He's definitely had some good stories.
Now, if you could attend any sporting event in the world, which ones would you pick? I would pick the Stanley Cup. I think that would be a lot of fun, but what would you pick?
That's actually really funny you just said that because I was gonna say that. I was gonna
Oh,
say Stanley Cup, Pacific, oh my gosh, specifically Game 7 of I mean whoever. I mean the one this year could the Panthers Oilers might make it. Panthers
hmm.
I think what is it? No, the
Tonight's
Oilers
game
got to win one
6.
more. Or yeah,
Yeah.
Oilers got to win one more, and they push to Game 7. So I think that would be like really cool to go to. That environment's just hockey in general is a great sport to watch, but
Yeah.
I just think that environment in a hockey arena with all of those fans, especially for a Game 7 with so much on the line, that nothing beats it. I would also say the Olympics,
Yeah, that would be
but
cool
that's
too.
really broad. Really broad, but yeah, Game 7.
Now, last non-lacrosse question is, what would be your perfect day?
Perfect day. Okay. Day starts off with an acai bowl for breakfast, going to the beach. Sun's out. I'm by the ocean, sand, I guess. And then after sitting at the beach all day, like reading, hanging out, listening to music, um, going to dinner on the water. Just kind of simple but pleasant, I would
Yeah.
say. I love the ocean. I love the beach.
Hmm.
So yeah.
I think for me, it depends on the season. So if it's wintertime, like going to a hockey game and then having dinner after
Mhm.
that. But if it's the summer, I'm a big fan of Cape Cod. So going down there, just enjoying a nice walk on a hiking trail and then obviously seeing a Cape Cod baseball league game after that. That would sort of be my perfect day. And that's what, when I'm like
Yeah.
75 years old, that's what I hope to be doing with the rest of my life when I retire, is living down there.
Yeah, Cape Cod's beautiful. You can't go wrong. We went when I was younger, but
Hmm.
it's so nice down
Now, I guess one more question I want to ask you is, do you have any shout outs you want to give and who should we have on the podcast next?
there. Ooh, shout outs. Well, shout out to Hopkins lacrosse team and staff and fans. Go Jays. Who should we have on the podcast next? Okay, Taylor Haas is number one on our team. She was a freshman last year, got playing time, and is coming back now for her sophomore year. Great person, super fun to talk to. She's one of my really good friends. So I think it'd be really fun to have her on the podcast.
We'll definitely got to reach out and see what she has to say. So, Ava, I just want to say
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming back on. I really appreciate it. I think you're a great player and even better person. So I just want to let you know that. And I'm excited to see you watch your team next season. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. This is a lot of fun.